Good evening. Welcome to this evening's Midweek Faith Boost. I'm Pastor Benjamin. What a great joy it is for us to be able to bring this broadcast to your home or wherever it is that you're watching this broadcast from. We continue in our series, A Journey Through the Psalms, and tonight we'll be examining Psalm number 46. And would you please turn with me in your Bibles to Psalm number 46? I have it already in front of me, and I'll begin to read. The Psalm declares, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy habitation of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God will help her when the morning dawns. The nations rage, the kingdoms utter, the kingdoms totter. He utters his voice, the earth melts. The Lord of hosts is with us, the God of Jacob is our fortress. Come and behold the works of the Lord, how he has brought desolations on the earth. He makes wars to cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariots with fire. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted on the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. The God of Jacob is our fortress. And that is what is known as the theme of that psalm. That the Lord, the God of Jacob, that God is our fortress. How does this pan out? What does this look like? Let's go to verse number 1. The psalmist opens this psalm by declaring that God is our refuge and strength. This refuge is a place where we go to in our time of need, in our time of distress, in our time of difficulty, in our time of pain. We go to find safety and shelter in the presence of the Lord. The Bible declares that in the presence of the Lord there is fullness of joy. In the presence of the Lord there is liberty. In the presence of the Lord we encounter his love. We encounter his goodness. And what does that lead to? It leads to his strength. The Lord is our refuge and our strength. As we come into the presence of the Lord to find refuge, there we find strength. We find strength in God. We find strength to overcome the challenges and the obstacles that we face in life. I'm reminded of Isaiah, who declared that the youth, the young men will utterly fall, that those who exhibit strength, their strength will fail them. But they that wait upon the Lord shall be renewed in their strength. Where does the renewal of their strength come from? It comes from being in the presence of the Lord. This God who is our refuge, as we go to him, as we find refuge in his presence, our strength is restored. And then it says, he is a very present help in times of every trouble. Whatever situation that we might be going through, whatever circumstance that we might find ourselves in, God is very present. His presence is very near. There is nothing that can take us away from the presence of God. Now, I'll move on now to verse number 3, which says, though the waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling. And so now the psalmist ties verse number 3 to the preceding verses, verse 2 and 1. That you know what? Whatever chaos that might be going on around me, whether it's a natural disaster, whether it's a situation in my circumstances that is encapsulated in the words, waters rolling and waters forming, mountains trembling, whatever situation that one might be going through, God still is a refuge and God still is a source of strength. There is no situation that we can face in life, in which God cannot keep us safe in, and God cannot provide strength for us. Whatever situation that we might be facing, whether natural circumstance, God is our refuge. God is a place that we can go to find safety. God is the place that we can go to have our strength restored. He renews our strength. As we come into His presence, our strength is renewed. Verse number 5 says, verse number 4, actually, let's begin at verse number 4. It says, there is a river whose streams shall make glad the city of God, the holy habitation of the Most High. Now, ancient Jerusalem, as so is present-day Jerusalem, does not have a river that runs through it. So perhaps here the psalmist is speaking metaphorically of the joy that comes from being in God's presence. Just like a river brings with it fresh waters, just like a river brings with it renewal, just like a river brings with it refreshing on a hot, thirsty day, God's presence brings renewal. God's presence brings refreshing. God's presence brings waters that quench the innermost parts of our thirsts, of the thirst that is in the inside, the thirst that, water cannot quench, the thirst that no situation or no circumstance can seem to still or to calm. God's presence comes and it brings calmness. God's presence comes and it brings healing. And verse number 5 says, God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God will help her when morning dawns. God is in the midst of her. God is with her. God is there, right there. He's a very present help in times of every trouble. And knowing that, knowing the fact that God is with us, knowing the fact that His presence brings refreshing, gladdens our heart. It should cause us to be filled with joy. And then let's move over to verse number 10. He ends this psalm by saying, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted on the earth. Now, after talking about the fact that in whatever we go through in life, whatever situation we face, we can find refuge and strength in God. We can find renewal in God's presence. The psalmist ends this psalm by calling us to a place of stillness, calling us to a place of ceasing to strive, calling us to a place of ceasing to try in our own effort. There is great joy for those who have ceased from their strife and rely on the Lord. Amazing grace. How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. I find myself in a place where I'm no longer striving. I'm no longer having to try in my own effort. I'm no longer having to try in my own strength or my own ability. I come to a place where I know that God is my refuge. He's the one I run to for dear life. That God is the one who gives me strength. That in His presence are streams of life that make my heart glad. No matter what I'm going through. What should be my response? I'm called to be still. I'm called to be calm. I am not God. He is. I'm not the one who changes situations. He does. I'm not the one who causes wars to cease. He does. I'm not the one who calms the storm. He does. My response must be to be still and to know that He is God. He's the one who will be exalted among the nations. He's the one who will be exalted in all the earth. Not I, not anybody else, not any situation, not any circumstance, but He He will be exalted. He will be glorified. His name will be praised. And so, how do we respond to this beautiful psalm that tells us that God is our fortress? How do we respond to this psalm that tells us that God is the one that we can run to for dear life? He's the one that we can run to for refuge. He's the one that we can run to for strength when we feel weak, for our strength to be restored. How do we respond to this psalm that tells us that in God's presence are streams of life, streams of joy that renew us, that renew our spirits and refresh us? Three things I would like to encourage you, my friend, my brother, my sister, wherever you find yourself, wherever you're watching this broadcast from. Three things I call you to do. The first thing is stop fighting. Stop trying in your own ability. Stop trying in your own strength. You know, sometimes you could be fighting this and fighting that, and in the process, you are fighting even God himself. Stop fighting. Stop coming with your guns blazing. Put your ammunition down. Stop trying to do this in your own strength. Stop trying to figure it out. Like we say it in modern lingo, God's got you. He has you. He holds you in the palm of his hands. Your days are numbered. He cares about you. You can run to God and know that he's your refuge and he will give you strength. Secondly, take refuge in God. Take refuge in God. Many people take refuge in many other things other than God. You could be taking refuge in substance, alcohol, drugs. You could be taking refuge on social media. You could be taking refuge on the attention that people give you. You know, those things are here today, they are gone tomorrow. They'll give you a high today, they'll bring you low. They'll make you feel on top of the world, on top of the moon in cloud 9, but they'll bring you gushing down the next minute. But there is a place where you can take refuge. There is a place where you can take refuge, where you will never be brought low, where you will never be brought down, where you will never be put to shame, where you will never be disgraced. That is in the presence of the Lord. Take refuge in God. And then lastly, pause and give thanks. Pause. It's okay to pause. It's okay to be still. It's okay to pause and wonder at the goodness, at the grace, at the love, at the power, the splendor and the beauty of God. Be still and know that he is God. God is our refuge and our strength. The God of Jacob is our fortress. I pray that you will take refuge in God. I pray that you will stop fighting. Stop trying in your own abilities and trust in the Lord with all your heart. And I pray that you will pause to give God thanks and to behold his beauty and his wonder and to see what God can do in the lives of those that choose to trust him, no matter what they are going through. God is faithful. He will never leave you. He will never forsake you. He will never abandon you. God is our refuge and our strength, a very present help in times of every trouble. Call upon him. We love you. Thank you so much for joining us. God bless you.
So glad you are part of this Faith Boost broadcast. What we'd ask you to do is go to YouTube and subscribe to the Miracle Life channel. On Facebook, like the Miracle Life Facebook page. That way you'll receive notification when there's new content. We've got content like this that's regularly coming out to bless you, to help you. Also notifications that will help you in your walk with God, what's happening at the church and things like that. And with notifications, it actually gets pushed to you and it's a great way to be reminded. So go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, and go to the Facebook page and like it. God bless you.